If like me you've been playing a completely reasonable amount of hours since Chaos Zero Nightmare was released, an important thing to consider while planning to build your character is how can I preserve my mental sanity. There are a few strategies that you can follow to do so quickly and more or less reliably. Some RNG is involved in the process, so we want to optimize the amount of time we invest in our save files. Let's take my Yuki as an example. Since her kit is mostly geared toward AoE clears, I have prepared two save files for her. One is an AoE Exodia deck that, thanks to Nia and Cassius' cycling abilities, is able to play all the attack cards each turn with very high reliability. And the second deck has the Forbidden card, we have it right here, the one that hits like a truck against a single target, and Flash Slash also has the Epiphany that makes it a solid single target damage ability, so this second file is much better against content where we fight a single dude. And the way I prepared these two save files was very straightforward. Go for the tunnel, see if I could get the single target Forbidden card. If I did so, I would focus the rest of the run on single target Epiphanies. If not, I would try to get a cracked save file with plenty of other good stuff. This is a strategy that changes for every character though. For example, where is Nia? Nia, there you go. Nia really wants this Forbidden card, the Eternal Hunger, to the point that if I'm farming for her and the tunnel doesn't offer me that card right away, I would just restart the run. The process is fairly simple, but it requires a little bit of planning, and in order to talk about it, we need to go to my arch nemesis, which is the spreadsheet. There we go. And it's a spreadsheet that I will link in the description of the video. Luckily, the developers have stated that very soon they will update the game, including a function that will allow us to monitor the value of our save file during the run and make adjustments accordingly. Nia has two cards that are abysmal dogshit, and I need to hide the spreadsheet just for a moment. One of them is the basic strike, and the other one is a mute accent, and I want to remove or replace those two every single run that I have. There are others that I would like to remove as well, but I consider those two to be mandatory. And removing two cards that are combatant cards, it's a total of 50 points. Then I want the Forbidden card, you can see it at the very bottom. It adds 20 points to our save file, so we are at a total of 70. We now have a really important neutral card for her save files, which is here, Confiscation. It's extremely valuable for a save file that includes Eternal Hunger, and you can do absolutely degenerate stuff with it. And during the run, it's very common to have a neutral card that gets an Epiphany. So I included a neutral card with a regular, not a divine, Epiphany to the save file. That's an extra 30. And I included the fact that we may, during the run, happen to find two divine Epiphanies for our cards that we want to pick up for an extra 40 points. So, all in all, a save file like the one that is shown in the spreadsheet requires 160 points, which requires save file tier 14, which can be tier 13 in trauma mode, because it adds one tier. You could go higher than that if you need some extra points and you want a bigger buffer to make sure that you get an absolutely omega alpha file for bragging rights, but especially if you have a multitude of characters that you want to build and you just want to have them, in a good state, it's better off farming a tier 12, 13, 14, doing it quickly where enemies are weaker, and eventually achieving a good enough save file that you can use for a long time. Unfortunately, we cannot control the Epiphanies order, and we cannot skip them. This means that we could get a solid Divine Epiphany for Adagio early in the run, duplicate it, feel good about it, and then only later on get other things we would really like, but no longer fit within the save file. The save file that you see here had some cards added back because it unfortunately had too many points. But regardless of Epiphany RNG, there is a lot of planning that you can do in advance to make your building process a bit smoother. The setup that I use is the following. After I decided which character I want to target and how many points I will need, I will head to the laboratory 0 at difficulty 8, right here, and I will reroll until I get a tier 13 Chaos Manifestation with the mod that I find fairly accessible. Since tier 13 is not guaranteed, it may take a while to reroll, but the lower enemy levels here make it for much easier runs. There is nothing worse than getting what looks to be a really solid setup only to wipe against the Doggy Master or the Cthulhu looking dude. The negative mods that I look for are the Extra Elites, which is actually a bonus since we get more gear, reduce credit from battles, we get plenty from events anyway, and either the HP loss at the end of turn or Fury stacks. If I can get the Extra Elites and reduce the credit mods, I'm usually more willing to accept a nasty third mod, because the run is usually fairly manageable anyway. Trauma mode adds 1 tier, yoink, we go to 14, and then we're ready to go to meet our god. There are some divine mods that can be extremely useful. Card removal and replacing a basic card with a neutral are my favorites, but I would personally not waste time rerolling for this unless I really had an absolutely phenomenal save file and I was only looking for a perfect one. Once you get to the map, look for 2 consecutive question marks. They have to be connected. Ta-da! If you can find them, you found the tunnel. The second question mark is always going to be the entrance to the tunnel. If you cannot spot them, it's possible the tunnel is still there, in one of the other question marks, but you'll have to rely on luck to find it. So if you're taking a character like Nia, who really needs a forbidden card, and do not see the double question mark, you can hit escape, and restart the run from scratch. The mods don't reset, so there is no need to reroll. You pick your God Blessing and you're good to go again. When you do spot the 2 consecutive question marks, it's important that you plan your route accordingly, because there are times when an early top or bottom route can cut you out from reaching the tunnel at all. And once you're there, the choice is simple. Did you get the forbidden card you want, or at least one that one of your other characters could use? If so, congratulations, complete the run and try to get as good a save file as you can, remembering that in the interior, one of the last question marks right before the boss can give you the opportunity to duplicate the forbidden card. If not, you have 2 options. One is to escape immediately and restart from scratch. The other option is to complete the tunnel, get to the first boss, kill it and get some currency, then escape and restart the run. This is not optimal in terms of time management, but it can happen that while targeting character X, we get what is looking to be an amazing file for someone else. In that case, I would always go for the first boss and see if I can at least copy some disgusting Divine Epiphany. Then I will decide whether I want to go for a full interior run or restart right away. The end of a tunnel is usually very close to the boss, so you can decide how you want to use your time. The restart process is free until you defeat the interior boss, meaning that anytime you can go back and restart from scratch without having to reroll your run mods again. During the run, the most important decision will regard the normal and divine blessings for non-vital cards. I'm currently looking for a good Cassius save file. He has one card that I like a lot, which is the Devil Dice, and it has a few extremely useful epiphanies. In addition to that, those epiphanies can get some absolutely filthy divine epiphanies, like 0 cost, draw 1 for each enemy, 0 cost, draw 1, get 1 action point. There is quite a few that are phenomenal. But it's not a core card for the strategies of the team as a whole, and each divine epiphany has some cost associated to it on our save files. So sometimes you just have to #believe and make a choice. So skip a Divine Epiphany, hoping to have more points for later ideal neutral cards, or you decide that you will grab the Divine Epiphany, hoping you will not completely get a BTFO later on by the perfect Divine Epiphany on a neutral card that will no longer fit within your save file limit. It's a coin toss, so just go with what you think feels right at the moment. Either way, you will have a cool story to share, and isn't that the real purpose of a game? The answer answer is no. These are my main strategies I'm following in the process of building my characters one at a time. There are a lot of "this changes everything" moments, as well as "fuck you should grind a lot" moments. Sometimes you make bad choices and you get rewarded for no reason. Sometimes you play optimally and get punished for no reason. Chaos Zero Nightmare is essentially an allegory of life in a roguelike gacha game form. Let me know in the comments if you know of some super illegal strat that you're following for your save file, and maybe RNG gods be ever in your favor. Take care, guys.